Well, hello there. My name is Eric Francis, and I'm a fine artist. I do a whole lot of painting, but this time we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to do some drawing. Now, to me, drawing is painting with a pencil. It's a way for me to get my ideas out of my head and onto a piece of paper. Now, my drawings serve as a pre-painting. Now, I do drawings for the sake of drawing, like the drawing you're looking at now. But when it's time to set up a painting, I'm concerned with tone and gradation. So it's not really a bunch of lines. I'm really just concerned with tone and gradation. Now, tone refers to light and dark values. Gradation is small changes from one tone to the next. So here's a value chart as an example. So you can see the tone and gradation. Now, tone is the color. Gradation is how each color transitioned into the next color. Before we get into value, we're going to make a line drawing using this picture. First thing we do is make a grid on our picture, and the second thing we do is make the same grid on a sheet of paper. Drawing on a grid is one of the easiest ways to make a precise drawing. It forces you to see exactly what you're looking at and not what you think you're looking at. You might think it's impossible to draw our reference pic. Let's take a look at something else that'll be easier, like this guy. You can't take yourself seriously looking at this. Now here goes the process. So we're going to look at an individual square and see how shapes fit into it. Now we pick a point and see where it touches our square. Next thing we want to do is to see the angle of our shape. And now we're measuring its height. It's about half the height of our square. And we finish drawing the rest of the shape using the same steps. Now, say for example, we wanted to draw the curve underneath the eyelash. Now, the first thing we do is pick a starting point, and we want to see where this starting point crosses this line, which is about the middle of the line. Then, I'd make a second point and draw the shape in. And now I'm making sure both shapes match. And here's what a grid drawing looks like in action. First, I locate a square and find the first shape I wanted to draw. I find the square on my drawing. I make the points, then I draw them in. And I find the next point, and I draw that shape in. This is the process and how it works. Now, one of the challenges that you can run into is if your grid isn't straight, because it'll throw your entire drawing off. So take your time and make sure the grid is straight and lined up. If you can, you find yourself a T-square. What makes this picture easy to draw is that it's not very complicated, and the lines are really well defined. It won't be the same with our reference image, but everything should work out okay. Now, let's go over the supplies that we need. We're going to need a ruler, preferably a T-square. A T-square helps you to make straighter lines. You're also going to need some pencils. I used a 2B pencil and an extra black pencil. You can also use a number 2 pencil. Also, you'll need an eraser. I use the very soft kneaded eraser a lot, but you can also use a hard eraser. All right, with that out of the way, let's begin. I drew a 7x10 grid over our reference picture. I did this because I'm using 7x10 drawing paper. Now each column is 1 inch apart, and each row is 1 inch apart. So if you count, That's 7 columns going across and 10 columns going down. I hope you want to make this drawing with me. If you do, but you don't have 7x10 paper, I have an 8x10 and an 8.5x11 grid that you can use. 8x10 and 8.5x11 are standard sizes for drawing paper. You can find them on my Patreon page. The link is in the description and on the screen. Click it. Okay, you ready? Let's go. Alrighty, I grabbed my trusty 2B pencil and we're gonna start making this drawing. So I'm looking at my screen instead of a printout. So the first thing I do is I find my first point, which would be right about here, and I find my second point, which is right there, and I find the third point, which is right there. Now I draw the shape in. So we begin the process over again. What I'm concerned with is where my shape crosses the square. So I find the fourth point and I draw the shape in. I know what angle the line is. I know how it curves because I'm paying close attention to the reference pick. So I go in and I look for the fifth point, and it's right here. Now I go in and I draw the shape. And the process is pretty much the same throughout. Your main focus is each individual square. I'm gonna go ahead and fast forward right now. This drawing took me about an hour. Personally, I think it's easier to print out the reference pick and work from it that way. But you can get good results drawing from your laptop screen or your monitor. Drawing from a grid is a time-honored technique that artists have been using for centuries. There are many artists out there who use this technique to produce super realistic paintings and drawings. It's really on you to decide how much detail you want to add. For this drawing, we're not adding too much detail. We're basically trying to capture all the features. Everything that you need to know is right in front of you. Our job is to faithfully reproduce what's in each and every individual square. And we are done. Not only do we draw the facial features, but we also draw where the shadows are going to be. For our next step, we're going to add values to this drawing, and we're going to do it in our next video in this video series. Let's go over a few things. So our first step is to identify a square. Our second step is to identify the shape. Our third step is to pick a point where it crosses our square or where it touches the square. Our fourth step is to actually draw the shape. Now there's a lot of observation before we actually begin to draw. Alright, so on August 25th, I'll be releasing a workbook and 9 hours worth of video on everything you need to know about acrylic portrait painting. I'm really excited about this, guys, and I can't wait to bring you some more information. What you're watching now are some scenes from the video. Alright, if you like what you saw, like, subscribe, or leave a comment. And head over to my Patreon page if you like to follow along. There, you'll find the reference pick. And I want you guys to do me a solid and share this video. God is good. Peace.